My views about the budget is that a budget is not an end in itself. A budget is an actualization of a plan, an action plan. And a budget is about addressing challenges which are facing the country. Today, the country is facing two major challenges. One is the health challenge, addressing the issue of the COVID pandemic. Two is the issue of reviving the economy. The economy has been battered, badly battered. And in any case, it wasn't such a strong economy. Although they tell us, the economists, that it has been growing at a certain rate, but when you look at, for example, what we have been exporting, we have been running a trade deficit, which has been raising up every year. A trade deficit comes into play when you are exporting less than you are importing. And as Uganda, we have been exporting raw materials but importing finished products. So our economy has been weak. We have been having very high unemployment. So all these challenges have been multiplied by the COVID pandemic. So the budget has to look at that. The budget has a duty to grow the economy, to revive the economy. And for me, I think the budget should also be based on NDP3, which talks about industrialization for job creation and shared prosperity. And in a way, when you look at the debate which has been going on, there has been a lot of talk around import substitution, agro-industrialization, to be able to revive the economy and be able to create jobs. And for me, I think that debate has been in the right direction. So when we look at the budget has to talk to that. But when you look at the budget, the top, as has been pointed out, it's works, then security, then loan repayments. And at the bottom of the ladder, we see Ministry of Trade and Industry with 0.38%. For me, there is a mismatch there. There is a mismatch, and even when you look at what has been given to agriculture, for me, I think if we are to get out of this the challenges we are facing, the Ministry of Trade and Industry and the Ministry of Agriculture are key to getting us out of the challenges we are having. And in any case, government has agreed that we need agro-industrialization. How can we look at agro-industrialization without the Ministry of Trade? Maybe let me remind viewers that the Ministry of Trade and Industry houses UNBS, very, very critical office, because we can't trade, at national level, at global level, we can't trade without adequate standards. When you look at our trade, one of the main features of our trade has been the rejection of our products from outside markets. Even maize across the border here in Tanzania, we have challenges. So if we are looking at agro-industrialization, we are looking at exporting more. UNBS is very, very critical. So I don't know how much UNBS is going to get when the whole ministry is going to get 0.38%. Again, the Ministry of Trade houses the Uganda Export Promotion Board. We need to export. Markets are negotiated, so we need those markets. Again, the ministry houses the Directorate of SMEs. This country, when we talk about private sector, almost 90% of our private sector are SMEs. they need a lot of support, and for me they are key to getting us out of the challenges we are having. Again, the Ministry of Trade houses the Uganda Industrial Research Institute. We need to do research, you know. So when you look at all this, and on the other hand, you look at a budget of 0.38%, I wonder whether we are walking the talk. Yet we need to walk that talk at this material time. I see a country like Kenya, when you look at their budget, I think they have put around 6% of their budget towards the Ministry of Trade. But maybe what I also want to talk about briefly is the issue of a revenue cycle. You know, when we are looking at mobilizing resources, we need to look at, first of all, where do you put your money? So when we talk about a revenue cycle, we look at where have you allocated, how have you allocated and utilized? Because the following day, you can't sow, you can't reap where you have sown, you know? So we need to put money, because we know we want also taxes. So we need to put money there. So we need to put money in agriculture, we need to put money in trade, we need to revive the economy, we need to strengthen the backward and forward linkages between agriculture, industrialization and trade. You know, that cycle, that's where the backward and forward linkages, that's where the jobs are going to be created, and we need jobs. And for me, I think when we are looking at where to put the money, we need to be able to put money, as people say, where, you know, in waves we can move a number of boats out of the harbor, and it's trade, it's agriculture, it's industry. And then also agriculture, I see people emphasizing a lot about production and productivity in agriculture, which is okay. But unless we put our market right, you know, agriculture is dying, you know. And I always ask government to ensure that there is a minimum wage, a minimum price for products like maize, like beans. For me, it's the only country where maize rise up from 100 to 1,000, and people don't know. How do you invest in a business which you don't know how much you are going to get? Lastly, Africa, I think when we are talking about this budget, we need to talk about the prudent use of resources. I think we need to show, government should show us some cost-cutting measures. We should be concentrating on what we need as a country, not what we want. And I'm talking specifically, for example, about the very huge administrative budget we have. You know, can we afford it? Do we need it, or do we just want it? You know, so when we are looking at the budget also, I think the issue of prudent use of resources is critical. But for me, my recommendation, put more money in Ministry of Trade and Industry, and also put more money in agriculture.